Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's been about a week since the unfortunate incident and the legal business is underway, so now I'm able to tell you about what happened last week. Yeah, it's not clickbait, unfortunately. I was involved in a relatively minor, well, very minor crash. So let me tell you the story of what happened, and more importantly why it happened and what we've learned from it. Yeah, so it was about 4 o'clock on a midweek afternoon and I was riding home from work. I only actually work 2.5 miles from home at the moment, so needless to say it was a little bit of an extra ride. I wasn't filming anything and I kind of wish I had been, because now I'm thinking, God, wouldn't it be handy to have the camera on all the time? It even made me think about having a dash cam. Fortunately, I don't think it's particularly necessary in this case, because it's a pretty open and shut case of the blame was squarely on the third party. But I was just riding home from work and approaching a crossroads on Watery Lane. I'll show you in a sec, but very clearly our right of way. You know, we're on the major road going through, and the cars approaching from the left and right have thick white lines painted across and stop signs, so they very clearly need to give way. I'm going at 30 miles an hour and I'm watching left and right because I know there is a danger that cars won't see me properly when they should, and left it to the point where I felt, now we're definitely going to be okay. And then the driver on the left, sadly, what do you think she said as soon after she'd hit me? The immortal words, every time a driver hits a motorbike, what do they say? I just didn't see you. She had no idea. She had no idea I was there. So she just pulled out from the left, turned across my path, and I slammed on the brakes, man. Full on emergency stop as hard as I could. Felt the back of the bike get lightweight, bearing down on the front, trying to balance the two. And I must have brought the speed right down to a crawl. It can't have been more than 5, or it can't have been 10 miles an hour when I actually hit her, because I didn't come off the bike. The front left of my bike collided with the right wing of her car, but I didn't come off the bike, so it can't have been that hard. But still, any collision is enough to make you think, oh shit. And I'm happy to say I'm pretty sure I kept my cool throughout. I didn't shout or swear, and straight away, looking at the lady that was driving, I didn't think that this was a stupid or an evil person. It was just a person, and she just made the mistake that many drivers do of not looking properly for motorbikes. There is a fascinating video by Fortnite which you should watch about invisibility training for motorbikers. Kind of a tongue-in-cheek or very clever, humorous approach to the subject, which Fortnite often do, of why bikes are often so hard for drivers to see. Yeah, we're approaching the spot where it happened, and I'm coming to the junction from the same direction I was at the time. Oh, here it is. Here's the spot. So I'm driving just like I am now, and just where that car is there. See, imagine them doing that, but with me crashing into the side of them. Oh God. And the other driver, was coming from here. I mean, there's no disputing the fact that this person is supposed to stop. Big red sign, white line painted across the road, and I'm coming from up there, and she just pulled across my path like this. That's where she came from. So I was coming along here, and imagine this blue car doesn't stop but just pulled out into the road, and I went into the side of her. And then we pulled over here to exchange details and sort it out. And to her credit, you know, she was immediately apologetic. I think best practice, if after a collision, is not to admit any kind of liability. You know, even if you suspect it might have been your fault, there's just no need to say the words, "I'm sorry." I think it's sensible instead to say, you know, "Is everyone okay?" and "Don't worry, we'll get this sorted out," and things like that. You know, you don't have to admit it was your fault, because you might be wrong. In the heat of the moment, people do get apologetic and confused and shocked. Anyway, I checked the bike was safe to ride. You know, the handlebars on steering and bearings, and nothing's loose, and the brakes work and the lights work, and you know, everything's fine to go ahead. But the most important rule, which I remember from somewhere, is don't get straight back on the bike. You know, if there's been a collision, you're going to be shaken up, and you might not realize it at first how much you are. But if you swing your legs straight back over that bike, man, there is a good chance that you'll get into another crash, because you're just feeling shook up. So I did wait a good 5 or 10 minutes, make sure I was absolutely calm and safe to ride. And now we're into the insurance and the claim and all the business. After a crash, you are obliged to tell the police if there's been any injuries. But if there aren't, you're actually not obliged to. You're not obliged by law to tell your insurance company. However, it's almost certainly in your contract that you tell them if there's been a collision, even if no claim is made. So regardless of whether I was going to tell my insurance company or not, and obviously I was, I did ask if this lady was interested in settling the matter without using insurance, and it's all been very polite and very civilized. And I came up with the lowest possible figure I could, just to replace the plastic panel there. But she said she would have to regrettably go through the insurance instead. So we're doing that now. Oh, this is a nice bit. Hockley Heath, 1 mile. Can't remember going on this one before. What a place, eh? What a place. Oh, here we are. Can't actually remember which way I want to go. Oh yes, I'm coming out there. Back to the spot. I'll tell you what, insurance is a bit of a silly game though, isn't it? You have to report your collision, even if you don't need to make a claim to your insurance company, so that they can put your prices up. So, in a way, you'd be rewarded for being dishonest if you didn't tell them about it and you just settled any damage privately. And then the silly bit is the cost to repair this bike would be £96, which is way too much for a piece of plastic, but that's what I want to charge. But all we need is a piece of plastic or two, which I could then screw on myself in about 30 seconds. But no, that's not how we do it. The approved repairer for the insurer has to collect the bike and advises me that it may be up to 6 weeks, possibly more, while they establish liability and order parts and get the bike repaired and so on. Let's just have a look at the damage here. We've just got a scratched up plastic panel here, and a little bit of damage on the fender as well. It's really not an awful lot. Obviously I'm very lucky. So just got to arrange now for the bike to be picked up and looked at. It's silly, isn't it? I could fix this with 200 quid and a screwdriver in a minute. Most important part, what did we learn? You have to go that way, sir. I'm not an evil person or a stupid person, just a distracted person, someone who doesn't understand what they're doing. What did we learn? Number one, it is a very good idea to have a dash cam. I've learned this on the car and now it's installed. it's installed properly, so it comes on automatically every time the ignition comes on, and it records on a loop, so you don't have to remember anything at all unless there's a crash or you need the footage, in which case you save it. This company was offering to give me a free bike computer thing with cameras to review, and I kind of wish I had now. I don't know. I'm deciding now right in front of you, am I going to put this thing on my chin even if I'm not making a YouTube video, on the off chance that something interesting happens? You notice how he said interesting, not dangerous. Obviously this video would have been better if I'd had the footage. Number one, by far and away, the most important is, as a biker, being visible is absolutely essential. And for me, I think that means wearing the high vis pretty much all the time. I wasn't at the time, and who can say for sure if it would have made the difference, but there does seem like a good chance. Now, you may be one of these people who says, oh, why should I have to wear a high vis? I don't like it, and it was her fault. She should have seen me anyway, shouldn't have crashed into me. That is correct. That is absolutely true. But the fact remains, you still have the opportunity to make yourself a bit safer. And regardless of blame, I think you want to do that. And then finally, if you are involved in a crash on the road, and I sincerely hope you are not, but if you ever are, what should you do? It's worth being a little bit wary of some of the scams that are out there. The biggest threat that you're facing is that the other driver will make off without leaving their details, or will give you false details. So it's very important we identify the other driver. As a minimum, absolute minimum, you must note the number plate and the make and model and colour of the car. But you should also, and one of the first things you need to do, because the cars around you are likely to move off, is get yourself a witness. If someone else saw the crash, actually in my case, the first thing I did was I looked at the car behind hers, who had his window open, was shouting, "Are you all right, mate?" And I said, "Would you mind stopping and giving your details? I'd really appreciate it." And the guy gave me his number, which means if there's any dispute, he can confirm what happened. That's absolutely vital if you don't have dash cam footage. Yeah, take the other person's name and number, but if you possibly can, look for some way of confirming it. When they give you their phone number, ring it and make sure that phone rings. So they haven't just given you some random number. Say, "Oh, well, I'll ring you now, and then you'll have my number as well, and then you'll know it's definitely me, but you also know it's definitely them." And I even one time pulled a little sneaky move where I thought this woman might make off and claim that nothing even happened because there wasn't any damage to her car. She just caused the incident without any damage. I offered her my driving license and said, "Here, do you want to take a picture of my license so you can confirm my identity?" Which she did. But then, of course, as soon as she has, the expectation is that she'll show me hers. And I honestly think it was only having that photo that confirmed who she was that made sure that the insurance company were able to find her. And then, assuming we have confirmed everyone's identity, the next thing we want to make sure is that nobody claims that there's any more damage done than there really is. So the classic scam that's been going on for a while now is inventing fictional passengers. So if you are found to be the cause of the collision, the driver may then claim that there were 3 other adults in the back, all of whom now have whiplash and are claiming compensation. So take a picture of their car with nobody in it, or just make a note, record yourself a little video at the scene. Even if it's not evidence of the crash itself, the fact that it's fresh and live and done right there at the scene is actually quite strong evidence. And you just note there were no other occupants in the car, or there was one other occupant in the front seat. And then if they try and claim that 3 other adults in the back got whiplash that don't really exist, we'll get them for fraud. Take a picture of the damage to your car, but definitely get a picture of any damage to their car or vehicle, so that you can prove that no more damage was done than really was. Right, so next step is to get the insurers to come pick up the bike and see how they got on with the repair.